My name's James Sweatman. I'm a senior game designer at Runescape, and I've been part of the interface system design. So I've been working on the new interface, working with some of the really good developers we've got on the team at the moment.
Hi, I'm Michelle Janion. I am the web content editor for Runescape, and I will be documenting and explaining how the new interfaces and how the new graphics work so that players can find out and prep themselves before they start playing the game. So players can contribute to the RuneScape 3 by documenting it, and they can do this via our player editable wiki. So they can go in, see any articles that I myself have written or other players have written, add their own contributions to it, maybe redesign it if they don't like how it looks, work with other players, they group up in teams and go through, say, I'm going to document this, and they all work through and make their own pages. So it's really nice. I just go in there and help out occasionally and go, if there's something that they really want to do but they don't know how to do it, I will come and help them. So it's sort of a player-driven wiki, really.
So when we started looking at the new interface system, there was kind of two main focuses. One, to make sure that the existing content within RuneScape was really accessible and really easy to get into. The amount of content we have in the game is massive. You know, we've had kind of over 12 years of development gone into it, and over the last 9 years, lots gone into the existing interface system. And it became quite difficult to find lots of different pieces of content. So we wanted new players coming into the game to find what they wanted a lot easier. Second, we wanted to give more power to the player. And by doing this, we looked at customization. So making sure that the player, no matter their play style, could get into the game and kind of build the interface how they wanted to based on the situation they were in. So those are kind of the two key things we looked at from the outset. I think for me, it's being able to do it during gameplay. So there's lots of different interface systems out there in different MMOs and different games that allow you to customize things. But being able to customize it during gameplay is really fascinating. So you're in a combat scenario and you might have two different loadouts that you've saved before you went into that combat scenario, and you can quickly switch between them just using a couple of buttons. If you want to move something onto your interface that you didn't have before because you might want to have that, you might want some more instructions or some new powers that you want to get access to, you can do that just doing gameplay, and that's something I think is really interesting for us. On a personal note, I think it's the unique style it has. I think it's very different to some of the other games you might see out there that are quite derivative. We've got a nice, unique, colourful, very almost cartoon-like style, which is quite warming and welcoming. But there's a real richness to the lore as well that comes across. The Britishness, I think, that adds a lot. It's very different to some of the other things you see out there, and also the variety in the gameplay as well. You don't have to be really focused on combat or some of the other things that you find in traditional games. You can go and look into cooking. You can go and do fletching, different kind of skills that you might not find in other games out there as well. So it's just a massive variety of things that I think can be interesting to all different types of gamer. And I think that's one way we wanted the new interface system to bring that to the forefront, so it's easier for some other players, newer players, to get into that content as well.
Why should someone play RuneScape 3? Well, for me, it's the graphics. I don't really see a lot of graphics like that in a browser game. I really don't. And with HTML5, that's even better. I take a lot of screenshots for our fan sites, and in Java they look great, but in HTML5 it's just, you can see so much, and it really adds to it. Our graphics team are really, really good, and yeah, so graphics, definitely. If I had an infinite amount of money and time to invest in RuneScape on a purely selfish level, I'd probably look into documenting all of our game. We have a section on mini games and we have a section on areas, but they just describe the basics. I'd really like to go in and say how everything works with everything else. So write a huge guide on, like a progression guide. There's so much to do in RuneScape that sometimes you feel a bit lost if you're a new player and you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do. Having a guide to tell you what your options are at that level, different mini games you can play, different distractions and diversions. It'd be really cool if I had the money and the time to go in and be able to do that.
I think if I had unlimited money and time, I think one of the things I'd look at is trying to bring it to an audience that wasn't necessarily used to or interested in MMOs. It sounds really weird because you don't necessarily need all the money and time, but it's when you look at consoles and other more mainstream ways of interacting with games. When we did some user testing a few weeks ago, and we got some gamers that hadn't really played this type of game before, and they came away really interested in it, but they hadn't had the accessibility of, didn't have a computer at home or anything like that. And being able to provide the RuneScape experience on something like an Xbox or a PlayStation, or something that's in the home or in front of a TV, I think would be fantastic for me. And just being able to allow everyone to get on board, and I think that's what hopefully we're going to be trying to do with some of the future projects. So in bringing RuneScape to tablets, there's obviously lots of things we need to look into, and it's very early days at the moment. I've been a part of that, and we're looking into it. But as I say, it was very early days, so there's not much we can talk about on that yet. It's going to be very cool, but yeah, there's not much we can say there.
We'll be having another day like this when we
Yeah.
are ready to talk about tablets.
Okay, so if I was to get to speak to all of the German people and say, why should you come and play RuneScape? I would say that there is an absolutely massive world to explore, and there's a new world that you get to change as well. And it's something that we haven't really seen in the industry, especially in MMOs. And that's something we're really excited about for the future. So jumping in now means that you can have a real effect on a game world that hasn't been done before, and really write the story of a game, which I think is fantastically exciting. And you have all the tools there to do it, with new stories, new interfaces, and a new method for getting into the game as well with HTML5.
So why should the German people come and play RuneScape and help build up our community database of information? Is basically you're helping other people play the game. There's so much to do in RuneScape, so many things to play, so many ways to play it. It's often overwhelming for people. If you have a way of explaining it to other people, it can really help. And having the wiki there is your method of doing it. You don't have to go somewhere else or do a Google search. It's right there on the website, and other people will be really thankful for your help.